Hi, my name is Kaihan Krippendorff, and I invite you to watch this interview on the Temas de Vanguardia website. So the fourth option is a metaphor, and 3 symbolizes the point at which others stop thinking. It's just a magic number. When we hear 3, we feel satisfied with our choices. And what innovators do is they recognize where people have stopped thinking and they look for an option beyond the obvious options, the fourth option. So a process to drive innovation inside an organization is an acronym that spells ideas. So step 1 is to imagine a future, a different future. Step 2 is to dissect the problem into pieces. Step 3 is E, expand your option set. Step 4 is to analyze and choose those options. And step 5, S, is to sell the idea internally, IDEAS. That is a way you can use to drive innovation from within inside organizations. So outthinking the competition is to overwhelm your competition with ideas that they won't respond effectively to. What it entails is introducing ideas that our competitors will not respond effectively to. Often they don't respond effectively because they ignore and laugh at the idea. Gandhi said, first they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they fight you, and then you win. We're looking to overwhelm the competition by introducing ideas that they will ignore and laugh at. So if we look across all kinds of sectors, from healthcare to energy to agriculture, what we see is an overall trend of the production and the provision of value moving closer to the point of demand in time and space. We're producing energy closer to where and when it is needed. The same thing with food, with vertical farms, for example. And so if we want to make sense of what any industry might look like in the future, we could imagine this hypothetical future that we call P equals 0. The moment where demand emerges, I want something, and it is not only delivered, but also produced right there at that moment. So the cycles of innovation are 5. It starts with metal, which symbolizes realizing that we're stuck. This is stuff that we need to stop doing. The next is what I call water, which is the dreaming up of possible new things that we could do, but we may not choose to do them. The third step is symbolized by wood. Now, wood, you can't see it growing. You can't see a tree growing, but you know it's growing, but it's taking in so much energy and not producing results yet. Every innovation goes through this phase where you're putting in a lot of work and it's slowly scaling, but it hasn't yet reached the next phase, which is symbolized by fire. It hasn't really caught fire. When we catch fire, that's when the innovation takes off and people want it and people buy it. And then earth, which is the final phase, is that point where you land the innovation. You actually want innovation to stop. You want to sustain what you have already built, which then leads us, of course, to the cycle beginning again, when that thing that we created is no longer the right thing and it becomes metal and we need to destroy it again. How do you connect culture with strategy? There's so many models of culture. The one that I find the most useful is something called the congruence model. And it shows very clearly how you connect strategy with culture. So strategy says, this is what we want to do, or this is what we prioritize. That then translates into a set of behaviors or actions that we expect people to take. We always want them to be first, or we always want them to be second, or we always want them to be really responsive to customers. We always want them to look for efficiencies, whatever that is. Now, how do you enforce those activities is through 3 different factors. You have your formal structure, which are your rules, your regulations, your incentive structures. You have your informal culture, which is the norms of behaviors which are carried through stories and symbols. And then you have your people. What kind of people do you hire? How do you organize them? And so these 3 things of tasks, formal structure, informal structure or culture, and people need to work together in consort in order to align the culture and organization with the strategy. The number one source for innovation in companies is the employee. My research shows that 70% of society's most transformative innovations have not come from the boss coming up with a big idea, not come from the entrepreneur in the garage, but from everyday employees who see an opportunity and find a solution to that opportunity, rally the resources to pursue it, and invent something new. Think about IKEA. It transformed the furniture industry by introducing the flat pack box. That flat pack box was not introduced until 10 years after the founding of the company, when an employee was simply trying to get a table in the back of someone's car. It didn't fit, so he took off the legs and folded it, and that was then adopted as an idea. I can give you countless examples of that, but the future of your organization will depend on your ability to recruit, to activate, and inspire ideation among employees. The barriers that block innovation inside an organization are actually fairly well known. I spent 5 years interviewing about 150 internal innovators, as well as gathered all the research and spoke to experts. And there are really 7 barriers. The first is intent, which means that people aren't trying anymore. The next is need. They don't understand the strategy or what the organization needs. The next is that they don't generate enough ideas, don't generate enough options. The fourth is that your business model gets in the way of their innovation. So they have to learn how to design business models that won't be rejected by your business model. The next is that you ask them to prove it, to do it, but they need to do it to prove it. In other words, they need to be able to take action on the idea, usually by conducting an inexpensive experiment. The next is they can't pull together a cross-functional team because they need to collaborate across silos, and our organizations make it difficult for people to collaborate across silos. And then finally, we can look at the political environment that internal innovators are really great at and actually enjoy managing the political side of the innovation process so that they can turn the organization into a platform that supports innovation. The biggest piece of advice I can give to someone in Latin America that wants to transform their organization and unlock innovation is really to not frame it as a transformation. Transformations are scary. They're like stepping out into the unknown. It is much more comforting and effective to say, we have been innovative, and if you look at the history of your company, if you are of any scale, of any success, I guarantee you can go back and you can look at things that you've done that were innovative and that led to your success. So what we do is you go back and you start telling those stories again, and you amplify the idea that we got where we are because we were being innovative. And to be innovative now is not a departure from the past, it is a returning to the past.